Good evening and welcome to On the Record, a debate-style television talk show where Bahamians will find the balanced, true, and open debate they've been looking for. The duty of our youth is to challenge corruption, and those positive habits formed at a young age should make all the difference. Our young people are seemingly the hope of our future, and we should never take them for granted. This evening's show is entitled Current Bahamas, a Youthful Perspective. And we're going to find out from the members of Parliament, from youth in Parliament, just what they think about our direction and the direction our country is headed in. Our guests this evening are Tevin Bannister, Gabrielle McKenzie, and LeVar Ferguson. It's all On the Record. I'm your host, Jerome Sawyer.
On the Record is brought to you by Alive, the nation's newest and best LTE network.
Good to be alive.
What do you believe?
Do you believe in energy? Do you believe in dreams?
Do you believe in passion?
Do you believe in family?
Do you believe in caring?
Do you believe in freedom?
Do you believe in imagination?
Do you believe in love?
Do you believe in community?
Do you believe in discovering?
Do you believe in music?
Do you believe in yourself?
Do you believe in living?
Believe in best.
Alive. Believe in best.
Are you afraid to swipe your card and you don't like to carry cash? If so, you need checks. Executive Printers can make checks for all your needs. They have laser checks, personal checks, continuous checks, and more. All checks have up to 15 security features, so you know you'll be protected. You can even customize your checks. Come and see one of our experts today, or log on to epbahamas.com for more info.
Welcome back to On the Record. Out of the mouths of babes cometh wisdom. And with that premise, we are going to start our discussion on the current Bahamas, a youthful perspective, with Tevin Bannister, a young banker and youth activist, Gabrielle McKenzie, a student at Southern College studying early childhood education, and LeVar Ferguson, a student of the University of the Bahamas. They're all members of the members of Parliament from Youth in Parliament. Gentlemen, welcome to On the Record.
Thank you for having us.
Glad to have you here. I really have to tell you, this was a personal request of mine. I would have seen some of you during the news last week and your presentations. I'm so impressed. We're a show about politics, but it's always important, particularly for me, to have a youthful perspective. So I wanted to bring you on to talk about several issues tonight and get your perspective. A lot of times I think those of us who are a little older have a tendency to talk and not listen enough. So, all right, so we're all on the same page. We're actually going to start out with education. With the D-average, and that's something we hear about all the time. We are a D-average nation, derived from the grades of our young people. That is a reality that is, I guess, thrown out on a regular basis. People talk about it all the time. What do you think is a cause of that from your perspective, and how did we get to this point? We weren't always that D-average nation. How did we get to this point?
Well, Jerome, I think that there are a lot of factors that contribute to the de-average. One of them is a need for educational reform. The generation has completely shifted. The learning curve is changing. The way each generation learns has changed. And I believe that's one of the biggest problems, that we aren't adapting to the change needed in the schools. We don't have just the teacher talks, I take it in and I learn from it, learners anymore. We have visual learners, we have learners that do more writing, and the classroom doesn't reflect the type of learners we now have. And I believe that's one of the biggest problems we have now.
Given an opportunity, what would you do, either of you, to change it?
Well, good evening again, Jerome. I guess Gabby is more of a professional given her field of study, but education is something that has always been very dear to me. Given the opportunity, if I was thrust today in the Ministry of Education as a lead policy maker, I would probably do my best to reform all of these schools and change them so much from the regular outdated curriculum that we now have, and seek to transform these schools into specialty schools. Maybe we could transform a C.R. Walker into a strictly vocational school, R.M. Bailey maybe for music. Of course, the core subjects that are required or necessary for proper development of the student, like a mathematics or English or what have you, would still be the order of the day. But insofar as allowing our students to study subjects that they feel comfortable with, subjects that they could perhaps make a career for themselves with, I think that's the area of focus, and that's the direction we should go toward.
LeVar, do you find the educational system, is it still relevant to young people? I say that because young people communicate so differently.
Yes.
I watched all of you in the green room preparing. Everybody was on their phone. Everybody. Mind you, we were having a conversation, but all of a sudden, everybody just dove into the technology.
I believe that, like Gabby said, the educational system should be reformed and we should modernize it. Gone are the days where you can put a textbook in front of a child, a student, and say, I need you to read page 50 to 75, have it done by tomorrow. Children, they aren't into that, okay? We need to make education more engaging. You see, if you put these boring things in front of the students, you're gonna lose them. You're gonna lose them, and like Tevin would have indicated, our schools, we have outdated machinery and textbooks. Macintosh and IBM computers still in the school.
They still in school?
You turn it on and it's shut down. That don't make no sense. You see? So we need to modernize the educational system.
One of the issues within the system as well is that females, seem to be excelling at a faster rate. And some people may argue that girls mature faster than boys. But you see, statistically, we are losing our young men in the educational system.
And Jerome, that goes back to what I was saying, educational reform. There is no way, and you would have had a guest a few weeks ago on the show, speaking to education, there's no way that we should still have computers in boxes in schools. There's no way that computer studies should still be an option for students to learn, for us to compete on a global scale. We're not just competing with Bahamians, we are competing with the entire world. And the world is advancing into technology, so as a mandate, every student should be able to study computer. It shouldn't be an option. They should be able, at the 12th grade, when you graduate with that high school diploma, you should be able to put together a simple, well-written resume. And that's where we're failing our students.
You mentioned the core subjects, I think, a moment ago, and still having emphasis on that. I find that a lot of young people don't even have that basic, that basic foundation. What has gone wrong? How do you come out of school and you can't read and write properly? Or they can count money.
I had a conversation with a teacher. She's a junior high teacher. And she told me, I asked her about, the condition of the school, how the students are excelling. It was just a cordial conversation. And she said, LeVar, to be honest with you, in the system, things are bad. I said, what makes you say that? She said, we have students passing out of the school, unable to read, unable to write properly. I said, so how are these students, how are they allowed to just go through the system? You know what her response was? Her response was, we don't have the space to keep them back.
It's
So
overcrowded.
it's a space issue?
We don't have the space to keep them back. So what's happening here, and I hope this doesn't incriminate me, but what's happening here is we have students moving through the system. They're just
To the next
they're
grade
just-
level.
Basically, we're not here for a long time, just a good time. You know, they're just flying through the system, and there's nothing being done about it.
So does that now, Kevin, create a class system where those of you who are educated and able to attain the higher paying jobs of a better life are now beginning to separate from those young people who find themselves in a position that can't read and write, can't get a sensible job or a decent job or a high paying job? Or, are we creating that class system, you think?
Well, Jerome, it's indeed a very scary situation. When you look at it, the term that they would use is social promotion. We're steadily progressing these students through the system year after year, knowing full well that they aren't properly trained to enter the workforce or even be productive citizens in our country. So I would agree with you there that there is a class system beginning to form. Whenever I discuss education, I always tell people that it seems as if in the Bahamas we're just taking 12 years of a student's life and basically creating a monster, because these children aren't coming out of schools properly trained. They don't have the core capabilities to even fill out an application.
And I tell you, I can
complete a
take it and bring
resume.
it back. Yeah.
They can't complete an interview, stuff like that.
How are they going to fit into your Bahamas? In 20 years or so, you guys are going to be running this country. Well, hopefully sooner. How are they going to fit into your Bahamas?
They're not going to fit in Jerome, and this is one of the things that gets them frustrated.
Yes.
A lot of people, when they graduate, they come out of school, now they're frustrated, they can't find a job, they can't pay their bills, and I know this is all of these conversations
that
are going to
leads.
progress to where you're going to lead us, so we're going to talk more about it later, but it leaves them really in a difficult situation as to what did I spend 12 years in school for. I remember when I was in the second grade, I had persons that stayed back because they couldn't read the books that I could read, and they weren't progressing the way they should have. But nowadays it's just like, okay, send them all through. We don't have space. We have another 40 coming through.
Yeah.
And also, what I've realized is we don't group students. We now mix them up. We have a lot of students, and as an early childhood major, when I did my teaching observations and I would go into the classrooms, we have a mix. We have to prepare mixed lessons. So you have students that learn at a slower pace, and then you have your exceptional learners. Why is that? And the teacher is teaching one standardized lesson, so the exceptional learners will catch on pretty quickly, and then the slower ones or the average student would be there trying to grasp the concept, and we don't have enough time to linger, or either we spend too much time lingering and it keeps the exceptional learner back. So we need to go back and revise how we group our students and put them where it fits, so we can have teachers that specialize in teaching the average learner and teachers that specialize in teaching the exceptional learners. We cannot have them all together. Their learning styles are completely different.
Very good point, and it's a good point for us to take a break. One of the things I do want to say is that, children come to school with so many different experiences, and that determines their ability to learn or not to learn, and I hope that's something that we start to take into consideration. Like I said, we're at the point of our first break in the show. We will be back with more On the Record right after this.
On the Record is sponsored by BAF Financial. BAF for life.
I'm free to live my life, yeah. Free to be me, yeah. The way I wanna be. Doing the things that I wanna do. Yes, I'm living my life. Hey, BAF for life. Yes, I'm living my life. Hey, BAF.
Get in the game with NFL Sunday Ticket from Rev TV. You'll get every game every Sunday afternoon in crystal clear HD. That's over 220 football games for the entire regular season. Plus, NFL Sunday Ticket gives you that died and woke up in football heaven experience when you include NFL Red Zone, a channel dedicated to every scoring play from every game and all your fantasy football teams. Get in the game with NFL Sunday Ticket. Call 601-8992 today.
Play with Island Games. We making dreams come true. Play with Island Games. We paying more out to you. Don't mind the noise in the market. You getting cash in your pocket. 'Cause Island Games is spicy and spicy is tradition. So when you play, we putting Bahamians first. Guaranteed to pay. Island Games. We like them other jokers. We've been here from the start. From the bike to computer. Island Games. We can make your dreams come true. We playing with Island Games.
Welcome back to On the Record. Tonight we're discussing the current Bahamas, a youthful perspective. My guests in studio, Tevin Bannister, Gabrielle McKenzie, and LeVar Ferguson. As we went into the break, we were really hot on the topic of education, and I'm going to steal a term we use in broadcast called segue. We're going to segue now into crime. And that is because a lot of the issues that we face in education are really tied back to crime and a lot of the criminal elements and problems that we have. It's a prevalent problem in our society today, seemingly going from one government to the next, and every new government comes in with a crime plan, and we're going to do this, and the political football is kicked around. I'm going to go down the table and ask each of you your perspective on why the crime situation is the way that it is.
I think that was a wonderful segue from education to crime. Because we have a situation where our students, they're leaving school, like I said in the previous session, they're leaving school uneducated. They have come out of school, they have families that they may need to take care of. They're men and women now, they have responsibilities that they need to take care of. And what other option do you have to turn to when, it's basically a revolving door in terms of you trying to find a job. No employer is willing to hire you. You're not skilled to get even the most basic of jobs, perhaps. So you turn to crime. And, I think it all stems back to a social issue. We have so many students and so many Bahamians, rather, at large, coming from a wide cross-section of our community. And each of their experiences are different. Perhaps each and every one of us on this panel may have come from a situation where we were perhaps able to, have parents who were able to guide us in the right direction. But this day and age, 2017 AD, we have so many kids who are being brought up by kids themselves, perhaps.
Irresponsible parents.
Exactly.
Yeah.
The family structure has gone awry. And I think that's a major reason why we are experiencing the crime wave that we are having today.
LeVar?
Well, Jerome, can I be blunt?
I would hope so. It's that kind of show.
All right. It's my belief that the way we are trying to tackle crime, we're putting too much emphasis on the end product. We're trying to get the criminals after they're already criminals.
After they've been criminalized,
All right? I know of too many instances where we have individuals, some are my friends, I've known them, we've grew up together, we went to the same school. These gentlemen, they have nothing, if I may be blunt. They come from nothing, okay? And they, seeing this, they have individuals who you would say in the hood or in the streets. They have these individuals who would say, man, look here, see X amount of dollars, get your school stuff. You need your books? See here. You need lunch money? See here. But the problem comes when they look up to these individuals, right? They see them as family, or the family they never had. All right? And you know what that in turn implicates. Later on, listen, I need you to make this drop for me. I need you to do this for me. Man, I may not be into that, but I gave you what you needed.
I took care of you.
I took care of you. All right? And so we have individuals, their big brothers or big sisters even, they send them to do these things, all right? Then they are criminalized. But we, from civil society, we can look at it and we can say, man, you should know this is wrong. But can they really determine that? They may be doing a favor, all right? So I believe it is the outlook that we should reach into these situations. And it ties in with education, it ties in with poverty. We need to reach into these situations, identify this, and work it out. I had an experience. I did a performance at St. Francis Xavier Cathedral, a John Canoe show, right? And after the show, the rector, he took us into the rectory. It was about 15 young men, the youngest being about 18. He took us into the rectory and he gave us something to eat, he gave us something to drink, just for performing. And he sat us down and he said, y'all get comfortable. And he talked to us. He came down off of his priestly level and identified with us. And amidst the getting off, as we would call it, the jokes and the laughter, he still took the opportunity to really relate to us and provide some sort of knowledge, wisdom, and insight. And I believe our parliamentarians, our pastors, our officials, we should get to this level. Go on the courts. You know, don't go in the capacity as a minister.
In your fancy car, which is
don't come with the cameras behind.
Yeah, blazing.
You know, go on the courts, go in your ball pants, shoot some hoops, buy the fellas some drinks. You know, sit down and play
By
domino.
drinks you mean sodas?
Yes. Okay. Sodas and water.
Yeah.
You know, sit down, talk to them, and in your relating to them, put some wisdom in there.
Gabrielle, I want you to get in on that now.
Yeah.
Where do you see it?
But just to piggyback of what these gentlemen were saying, there's a serious problem in education that gets our students frustrated. When they graduate, they can't get jobs, they are unproductive, it leads to crime. There's a serious problem where Laval was talking about. But how I see it, this problem stems a lot of times from the home. Parents do not take enough responsibility for their children's actions.
Do you think parents are equipped to parent? A lot of times, you can't do what you don't know how to do.
And that's another thing, Jerome. But at the end of the day, we brought these children into the world. We have to learn. Like my mommy said, when she had us, she was young. My mother was a young mother. But she had to realize that she had a responsibility to groom citizens, the next generation of society. We're putting too much strain on the government. The government needs to deal with crime when we're producing the criminals. We hide them in our houses when they've already, your good son ain't got no job. But he come with that nice rolly Rolex watch. And he come in with a nice Pandora bracelet and you're accepting it.
But interestingly, you all have talked about young men, young women are implicit in this activity as well. I don't want us to leave out there.
They are. And that goes to what Laval was saying too. Are we catching it from the start before they become criminals? We have programs such as the youth empowerment programs. Governments, this program has been in for 6 years now, and they're receiving minimal funding. $25,000 for a program that takes $196,000 to run. I'm a current mentor in the program because I believe that I want to impact my generation. I want to be the change that I want to see. But that's the amount of money we're giving them. And people that pass through this program, they come in from broken homes. They come in with so much different things on their shoulders. But when they pass out, they're different. So why aren't we giving these programs more money to go into the communities and reach these children from the start before they become menaces to society?
Let me ask you this as well. As we talk about money, and money is very important, but how many of my generation and older are coming into the community to give time and talent?
Not
enough.
Because you drive past the problem every day.
We know the issue.
But I can't be bothered with that.
Far too often, you know, like you said, you drive past the problem every day. You're in these communities, you screw up your windows and lock your doors.
And press gas.
We want to approach the matter on a top level.
So, okay, and you said, I agree with you that we need to tackle, before it begins.
Yes.
But the reality is you have hundreds of young people out there already involved in crime. What is to become of these young people? Do we now just
do we
incarcerate
reform?
them and just cast them aside and say, okay, done, let's look at the next generation?
No, I
How do you
think
address?
that's definitely something we cannot do. And Gabby is my good friend, but previously she said that, you know, these persons will not fit into society. And of course I have to disagree with you there, Gabby. I think there's hope for these individuals.
Yes.
They've spent some time going down the wrong road.
Yes.
But I recently read a story, and it ties into what LeVar had to say about mentorship. There was a young man who, during the entirety of his school career, just could not fit in, was a troublesome student. But, you know, he moved into a home with a family, a structured family, and the results were just amazing. He went to BTVI, he was able to gain some experience there and some knowledge, and he's now a productive citizen of our country.
I don't want to cut you off, because you know we're good friends. I don't want to cut you off, but how much are we going to see that fairy tale all the time? We're not going to see that fairy tale all the time. So we have to come to reality is for the set that do not want to change. How do we deal with them? Where do we, I mean, we incarcerate them, they get a teardrop, they say, okay, I killed one. What is it? And they come back out, they either get shot down, they get killed, and they come back out, they're getting bail, and they become menace to society. Someone kills them or they kill someone else. How do we stop this cycle? That is the question at hand. Yes, it's all fun and good, but what are we doing while these guys are incarcerated? Is it just the Her Majesty's free hotel? Is it that? I mean, you get 3 free meals and free electricity that I didn't have. I mean, and they, you know, there are gangs in there. They affiliate. Some of them went in for petty things, petty theft
And
or
they come
something,
out hard
and they
and
come
shit.
out worse than ever.
That goes down to a deeper issue where we need to examine our rehabilitation system. Like you said, is it just Her Majesty's free hotel? A prison system was intended to rehabilitate those who would have run afoul of the law. I think at last statistical report said our recidivism rate was almost at 80%. You know, those are persons returning back to prison. So, you know, it goes back down to, you know, what are we doing as policymakers to ensure that our prison system or, you know, the facilities that we do have to rehabilitate our citizens, how, you know, how effective are they?
Well, I just want to...
And to that point as well, those who are not able to be rehabilitated and reformed are still being let loose on society.
Yes.
And if you are, I jump into this, you have a system that seemingly has no recourse for crime. You could get bailed 3, 4, 5 times.
Well, bouncing back to what Tevin said, Tevin has a good point, right? And to what I said, it shows that crime, the issue of crime, is not just a governmental problem. It is a community issue. We cannot expect just for the government to deal with crime. It takes people at the top sector, the middle sector, and the bottom sector to deal with it. At the bottom sector being the home.
Yes,
Okay.
it does take
Crime
everyone,
is
LeVar.
everyone's issue.
It takes everyone, LeVar, but we are at the point now where we already have the crime, we already have the criminals. What do? We're letting them out with the ankle monitors on. They are committing robberies again. We're letting them out with the ankle bracelets on. We're supposed to be monitoring them. They're still killing people. We're letting them out with the ankle monitors on. They're supposed to be home by a certain time. They're still out. What is it that we do? Why are these persons getting bail? Do we need to look back at the Constitution? We need, honestly, I think that a lot of it goes back to constitutional reform. When we put these referendums to the Bahamian people, and a lot of times
none of them could seem to pass.
None of them which can seem to pass.
Just putting it out
there. A lot
there.
of times they're voting no, not because they don't want it, you know, Jerome, but they don't know what it is.
That they're voting.
We have
again, and that ties back even to an education.
Yes.
The
They
minute you
don't
throw
know.
a rumor out there, yeah, we're back to the fun. But I just you know, I want to sort of bring this portion of our discussion to a wrap. But in moving forward, in now taking a hold of this situation, do you think our politicians and policymakers are serious about doing something about crime, or is it good rhetoric or good campaign material, good talk? Yeah, and good for the cameras.
I mean, Jerome, when we look at it before, a lot of politics have been, you know, well, look at how much murders happen here, look at how much murders happen there. But I believe now I believe in giving everybody a fair shot. We have some new people in there. We have some fresh faces, some fresh ideas. It's only been 6 months in. I am willing to give them the opportunity to present their plans and see them through.
What is our individual responsibility as well? Because you say, okay, the policy makers set the, they put the laws in place, the police enforce the law. Okay, so those people have a duty. What are our individual duties as Bahamians? We run the red lights. We don't obey basic laws. We lie into customs. We doing all manner of evil. But you want the police and the government now to come and do something about a situation which we exacerbate every day by our behavior. No, but it's a reality.
Yeah, it is a reality. But if I could just, sort of flip the script a little bit, we have individuals. I've seen persons break the law, petty things. Well, petty we may term it as running the red light or, littering on the street or what have you.
Things lead to big things.
Of course, certainly they do. And, when you attempt to reprimand these people or when you tell them, that's wrong, you shouldn't be doing that. The common refrain is, well, the politicians do it. The officials do it.
Everybody does it. Well, I can't do it.
And not to say
we have a new commissioner. So, Commissioner Anthony Ferguson, if you're watching.
And then where's the protection for the whistleblowers, though, Jerome?
Yes.
That's another thing. Oftentimes we have people that want to come forward and want to say things, but when you look at those people, you come to court to testify, you could just want to change your mind because there's no protection for me blowing the whistle to say, I saw this person do this. A couple months later, woman shot up at the light, scheduled to testify in a murder trial.
Good point. Folks, we are midway in our show. Tonight, we are discussing the current Bahamas, a youthful perspective, and I must say, a fantastic perspective. My guests, Tevin Bannister, Gabrielle McKenzie, LeVar Ferguson. You're watching On the Record. We're going to be back right after this.
This segment is sponsored by Percy's Island Game.
Play with Island Games. We making dreams come true. Play with Island Games. We paying more out to you. Don't mind the noise in the market. You getting cash in your pocket. 'Cause Island Games is spicy and spicy is tradition. So when you play we putting Bahamians first. Guaranteed to pay. Island Games. We like them other jokers. We've been here from the start. From the bike to computer. Island Games. We can make your dreams come true. We playing with Island Games.
Yep. I got you.
I really appreciate you helping us out.
No problem, buddy.
Yeah, but thanks for helping us all.
I see you.
What happened, babe? What you mean?
Our news weekend has moved to 7:30.
I'm free to live my life, yeah. Free to be me, yeah. The way I wanna be. Doing the things that I wanna do. Yes, I'm living my life. Hey, BAF for life. Yes, I'm living my life. Hey, BAF for life. For life, BAF has got you covered.
Welcome to the second half of tonight's show. Our topic, the current Bahamas, a youthful perspective. We continue our discussion with guests Tevin Bannister, Gabrielle McKenzie, and LeVar Ferguson. Up to now, we've had a very spirited discussion. I want us to continue with another very sensitive issue, and this is immigration. We are seemingly flooded with illegal immigrants. According to the Prime Minister now, they have up until December 31st to leave. Do you think this is the right approach, given the sensitive nature and how ingrained some of our immigrants are into our population?
I do. I support it 100%.
Why?
I believe that we have some of these persons, he didn't just say to leave. you would have started the process. We have no way of identifying who these persons are in our country. They don't have work permits. These would be the people without work permits. These would be the people without any form of identification or status. They're just here. And then we have no way to, trace anything back to them. If these are the people committing crimes or getting involved in activities that are not of a good nature, how do we say that John Doe is, registered under this? We don't even know who these people are. So I definitely agree. These people, a lot of them would have been here for years and years. Some may even have birthrights here. But you're telling me, of all that time, you did not think that you should go and get yourself some type of status, whether it's just residency?
Kevin, I see you shaking your head.
I mean, I can't allow Gabby to go off in that tangent because, if you're an individual who's been here for years and years, there are several persons, thousands of people who've been trying to get themselves regularized.
The process is difficult.
Exactly, the process is difficult, and, as far as I know, I think that process is still governed by cabinet. Regularizing these individuals. And I think that the political football that's been played with immigration by successive governments year over year is something that we cannot continue to do any longer. These individuals, some of them, the Bahamas is the only place that they know.
Yes.
And something very specific that you said.
They should have started the process. I'm not talking about the people who never started.
Just a moment. There was something specific that you said related to birthright. If they have birthrights here, if they were born here, then, these are individuals who should not, going off of what you said, they should not be living without identification. They should not be
but
living
the system
in limbo.
doesn't allow for it, eh?
Exactly.
Okay,
so
go
that's
ahead.
where the problem lies, and that's where it begins.
We in the Bahamas, it's very difficult to get citizenship. We know that, and they know that. All right, and we have
Citizenship,
stigmatized
residency, work permit. Don't let you sit on one aspect.
We have stigmatized these people. All right, we bring them up in an environment.
Now, when you say these people, you're speaking
Immigrants.
specifically just immigrants, or you're speaking specifically to Haitian Bahamians or
Haitian Bahamians in particular.
Okay, all
We
right.
have stigmatized these people. We have made it an insult in the Bahamas to be Haitian. Because so commonly we throw around the phrase, but you was Haitian, eh? Why you look like that? All right? And I do support the Prime Minister in his move to clamp down on immigration. But we must do it in a manner that we do not offend the humanitarian rights of these individuals.
Agreed.
Right? Take it into this concept. I had a teacher. She's Jamaican when I was in high school, right? And while we were bashing the immigrants, she put it in perspective for us. Ms. Bailey said, LeVar, think about it as this. Think about it as you running from what you're running from in your country. You have nothing in your country and you just want a better life. All right? Be it as it may, we need to go about it in a manner that complements their human nature. All right? But it needs to be dealt with, but we need to deal with it properly.
So, and I'm glad that you would have singled out the Haitian problem. You have Filipinos, Chinese, people of a lighter hue who come here under a different pretense. They don't come on a boat.
Exactly. They come
They
through customs and
come, they
immigration.
walk through customs, but they continue to live illegally under the radar, even supported now by Bahamians.
Yes.
And this is also one of the issues I have a problem with. I'm not just speaking to just what LeVar would have zoomed in on Haitian Bahamians, because I have a friend that went to school with me, one of my best friends. I love her to death. She was here, and she was not able to obtain citizenship, graduated. She took advantage of her fundamental rights to education. She wasn't denied education. We're not denying them healthcare. We're not denying them education. But what I'm saying is, she got the process started after going through her educational process. She got the process started when she turned 18, when she was able to apply for herself, and she got citizenship
Now,
and
let me put a pin in that for a moment. She is the exception. No, I
It
can
doesn't
tell
matter.
you, she is the
She is the
exception
exception.
because there are hundreds, if not thousands,
So when
out
these people-
there who
when they-
cannot get the process completed or even done.
And that goes back to maybe us having to review the immigration laws and the Immigration
But
Act.
I think the Prime Minister said he wants to put a commission in place or a group
Exactly.
in place.
And it's
review.
long overdue.
Is it not necessary?
Yeah,
It's long overdue.
Are we though xenophobic when it comes particularly to Haitians?
No.
You don't think we are?
I don't think I am. Let me speak for myself.
As a people, I
As a
see you
people.
gave a look.
As
No,
a people, we maybe because a lot of Bahamians feel as if they're depriving them. When you go to school, it's overcrowded. It's already overcrowded. We have 40 persons in the classroom, and then we have
20 of them are Haitian.
and 20 of them are Haitian Bahamians, and then we have.
We are xenophobic to the max. If there's another word on top of xenophobic, we are there. There was a minister many years ago, and I will not call his name, he'll remain in the political garbage can. He walked into a school in the South, and he said, the stench of garlic from the Haitians is
Oh my
strong.
God. Really?
From a parliamentarian. Now, if you at the top of the level and you could say that, imagine the people in the bar room. It's a problem.
It is a problem.
How do we though begin to even address that and chip away at that when even at a young age now, our
Yes.
children are being taught to discriminate?
Yeah, I mean, we must deal with the ignorance.
I'm glad you used
We
it.
must deal with the ignorance.
I didn't
you know.
want to say it.
Well, I'll say it. We must deal with that ignorance. For far too long, just based on how a person dresses or how they looks.
Or what they do.
Or what they do. The common diss for you is to call them a Haitian. How do you use someone else's nationality to ridicule somebody? We must deal with the ignorance.
Let me ask you this. There is and I think there are facts to back this up. A lot of criminal activity, again, is tied back to individuals born in the Bahamas of Haitian parents after 73 who cannot get simple things like a driver's license or cannot open a bank account,
Yes.
cannot receive a scholarship because they do not have, because they are stateless, do not have the requisite identification, et cetera, et cetera. There's statistics and information to show that those individuals are so frustrated
Yes.
that they turn to a life of crime.
Yeah, and not only crime in the society, but now you open up an entirely new can of worms where there's corruption in our government
Yes.
agencies because all of these individuals now have to go through the back door for everything.
That is true.
So it opens up so many different avenues for crime.
This speaks to the notion that if we know the issue, why don't we deal with it? Sitting in a press conference before the cameras and listing all of these pretty things will not assist the issue. Let us deal with the problem at the root.
You think there's not the political will? When you start talking about immigration now, you making voters uneasy.
People start screaming.
People get squeamish. So all of a sudden now, you're addressing some very sensitive issues.
Yes.
It is a very sensitive issue, and the problem exists in many countries, and not just per se. Bahamians do the same thing. And they go to the States.
Oh no, we like taking residence in other people's country now.
We go to the States. We go there on a nice visa
You go to
or our
Europe and-
police record,
Yeah.
and we stay over the 6 months that Uncle Sam has granted us to stay there, and we're there illegally. What happens then? Their immigration policies come into play, and if you are caught,
And they don't
you
play
are
with that.
deported.
And they don't play with that.
So the law is the law until we get a new one. The law remains the law.
But that's like Animal Farm. All people are created equal, but some people are more equal than others.
I like that reference. Folks, we are at the point of our final break. We've got another very hot topic to talk about and bring all of this discussion to a close, unfortunately, later on now. But stay with us. You are watching On the Record. We're back. Our final segment right after this.
What do you believe?
Do you believe in energy? Do you believe in dreams?
Do you believe in passion?
Do you believe in family?
Do you believe in caring?
Do you believe in freedom?
Do you believe in imagination?
Do you believe in love?
Do you believe in community?
Do you believe in discovering?
Do you believe in music?
Do you believe in yourself?
Do you believe in living?
Believe in best.
Since our first episode on the record has had a profound effect on audiences, each week we push the boundaries of political debate, exploring the challenges of governance, the excitement of opposition politics, all against the backdrop of a majority young and oftentimes impatient electorate.
You are the expert here, yet you've done nothing. You appear to have no plan.
And from the time man has been on this world, men have been making mistakes.
God realized that's why he make hell.
Well, wait a minute, sir.
This is a benefit of being an independent, Jerome. I don't have to sit there and squabble about who did what over the past 40, however many years.
We touch on the controversial, contentious, and current. Our goal, to leave audiences more informed to make better decisions. Be sure and join us each Thursday at 8 p.m., cable channel 212. I'm your host, Jerome Sawyer. We hope to see you then.
Play with Island Games. We making dreams come true. Play with Island Games. We paying more out to you. Don't mind the noise in the market. You getting cash in your pocket. 'Cause Island Games is spicy and spicy is tradition. So when you play we putting Bahamians first. Guaranteed to pay. Island Games. We like them other jokers. We've been here from the start. From the bike to computer. Island Games. We can make your dreams come true. We playing with Island Games.
Welcome back. This is unfortunately our final segment of this episode. Our topic tonight, the current Bahamas, a youthful perspective. My guests have been doing a fantastic job of really tackling some of the major issues that are facing our Bahamas today. One issue that really I think will affect the future of the country, and that is unemployment. Our unemployment rate is at 12.9% in New Providence and a staggering 13.3% in Grand Bahama. What do we need to do to begin to really turn this unemployment situation around? I think up to this point we've been addressing it on some of the peripheral issues that affect unemployment. But really, what are some of the things that we need to do? I'm going to start with you, LeVar.
Well, the situation, like you said, it's out of control. It's quite annoying, actually. It's staggering. I think we need to really have a full assessment of what's happening. All right? We need to assess the issue in its entirety before we make actual resolution.
But when you say assess, does not tie into the Nero Fiddles while Rome burns situation. I mean, we're assessing and people are out of work.
Yeah.
How much more assessment we need?
Jerome, this one hits me. This one hits home for me. And when I say it hits home, I was one of those that was working at the Sandals Resort last year when it closed down temporarily and sent some 600 plus workers home. And to hear my minister come on TV and say that he was blindsided by the situation he didn't know. How do you not know that a major resort is going to close down in this country?
And why is that allowed to happen?
And how is it allowed to happen when the government gives these places subsidies to open and to operate? So do we need to look at when these resorts decide to do things like this? Take it back. Pay us back every dollar that we invest. If you're going to send Bahamian workers home, give us back every dollar that we invested for you to open and to employ our people. Another thing is we also need to look at the tourism sector. It cannot sustain the Bahamas any further.
You led me right into my next discussion point.
It cannot sustain the Bahamas any longer. We'd look at our grandparents saying, you know, you come to school, you get a job.
Good job.
You get a good job. You
Buy
come
a
work to
house,
the
get a car.
hotel.
Retire.
You know, you'll be a hotelier. But it's not going to work. When we have persons like my colleague down here, Tevin, going off to school, getting the education, coming back, and no employment. We have to look at making industries. We have to look at producing other industries in the Bahamas. There is a wealth of talent here. But what are we doing to tap into that?
Two things. Do we need more? I mean, governments talk about diversification and saying we need to move, and people have said it, but are we truly doing what is necessary to diversify this economy to, as she says, move away from tourism? You can't abandon, you know, what has been the pillar of our economy for so long, but certainly provide other opportunities.
Yeah, I think diversification is indeed a pretty word, you know, in every election cycle, you know. It comes out, we will diversify, but oftentimes there are very little plans that accompany that word.
Because we assess the situation.
Exactly.
Nero is fiddling.
The unemployment issue and the reverse of that, or the other side of the coin rather, the underemployment issue that we face in our country is indeed a serious one. But I believe that the Bahamas has a very dynamic economy, one that is ripe for all sorts of different investments. I think that, as Gabby alluded to, the hotel product, for far too long in our country, we've been brought to our knees when one of these developers decides to pull out, or when something goes awry with their hotel property or what have you. I think in Grand Bahama, the closure of one of their major resorts, we saw airlift capacity go down, room inventory go down. So it just shows you how dependent our country has been over the years on tourism. But I think it's high time now in the Bahamas. There are so many educated Bahamians, intellectuals who have ideas. And I will stick to it, although it may sound a bit cliche. I'm very passionate about it. I think that small business is the lifeblood of our economy and will be.
You're not the only one. We'll come back to that. But I mean, I think he made a very good point that there are a lot of bright minds out there with the ability and capability, and there's a yearning. But what is stopping them? What is holding back your generation?
The old guard. The old guard.
Sit, boy, sit.
We've been doing it right for the past 11 years.
We've been doing it. Ain't nobody saying it right. Go ahead.
Yeah. We need to encourage our young people, encourage them to become businessmen and businesswomen. We need to provide them with the tools to go forth and sin no more. Go in peace and sin no more.
Encourage them. We need to bring them in on the decision-making process.
Yes.
This is not the same world that we saw 50 years ago.
The older folks fail to realize that.
Computers were just, developing.
Yes.
And now we have everything. You can run a whole entire show broadcasted from the space of your own home. You don't have to leave home to get a job done now.
Don't tell people that.
We need to empower the young people.
Yeah, but we have to empower them.
One of the issues that I mean, I'm a small businessman myself, and one of the issues that you face is that a bank will give you $50,000 for a car. They give you $100,000 to get a piece of property. Ain't nothing on it.
Bank is a touchy subject.
You can't get $10,000 to start a little business.
Yeah, I worked in commercial banking for a short while.
Oh yeah. Thanks for reminding me.
So I'm quite aware of that fact. But I think we have the institutions in the Bahamas, whereas we are able to provide resources to those aspiring businessmen and women. But when we look at how they've been run, namely the Bahamas Development Bank, which was, instituted for the mere purpose of, developing small business in our country. But I think that the portfolio now is Yeah,
The
so
portfolio is
it's
politician who's not prepared to pay back.
Exactly. And, you know, when we look at how our country has been ran over the years, and when we look at the wastage that has been occurring within the government sector, you know, and I don't want to touch on the missing funds, you know.
You could touch on it. That's fine.
Okay, well,
Bring it
you
back.
know, millions missing from this department, millions missing from that department. And I always sort of fall into this state of melancholy, whereas I'm like, $40 million missing? What if that had been put in the hands of thousands of citizens to develop their business, to get a jump start at life? Can you imagine how far our country would be if 4 or 5 persons could be employed with one small business, and that multiplies and multiplies?
Are you all concerned that by the time you take the reins of power or send to run this country, won't be anything left?
I'm very concerned about that. I'm almost near tears about it because this is our Bahamas, and there seems that there isn't a lot of young people that even care anymore.
Exactly.
We don't have any.
They've given up?
When you come, they've given up. When you come across people, they say, "Wow, somebody that still actually cares about this country." You come to a sad state to know that some 20 years from now, we might just be going under.
Existing. You said something. They don't want to live here.
They don't want to live here. I came from St. Augustine's College, and a lot of my friends that went off to school, they said, "But you know what?" They said, "Boy, I ain't coming back. I'm not coming back." You know, and it really speaks to a lot because, as you said, the brain drain. Basically, when it's time for the younger generation to take the reins, there won't be a situation. There won't be a country.
I know of several.
I
know several instances where young people within your same age bracket have taken to some extreme measures to live in other countries. Have done some things, and I won't speak to what they are public, but have done some things to get out of their situation, to get out of here, just to simply seek a better way of life. They're educated, would have attained a level of education. By all means, they should be in a position to get a better job, start a better way of life, but simply cannot catch a break.
And you know one of the reasons why, too? We have persons sitting in positions. They're far past the retirement age. They feel as if I hold on a little bit longer, I don't know what's there to gain. When we have young professionals, they're saying that, oh, these young people, you know, we need to create a system where there's a clear path, a clear succession path. And I believe that we don't know what that is in the Bahamas today, to create successors. We want to stay on the reign, and once we get a taste of that power, we don't know how to go. We'll die with it.
Just say it, Sean. I won't say what.
We'll die with the knowledge. But and a part of leadership is passing on the baton, because you know how great of a feeling it is when you've trained someone and they are able to succeed you in knowledge about this topic, and you can say, yes, I trained a fella, man.
Legacy, that's what it's called. As we're about to wrap up, I'm going to go down the line. I'm going to ask each of you, what do you want to see of your Bahamas? What's your vision for your Bahamas? And when I say I'm not talking about today.
Yeah.
When you are at that, I call it midlife, at 40 plus, and you know, you've sort of gotten to the halfway mark, and you're now looking towards the other 20, 30, 40 years of your life. What do you want to see in your Bahamas?
Well, I would hope to see a Bahamas that mimics that of old. Bahamas, whereas we are free to go about our country, walk without fear of criminal activity, being victim to criminal activity. And that olden day Bahamas intertwined with young leadership, young vision to take us into a 21st century country. That is the type of Bahamas that I would like to see, a country whereas we are able to run efficiently, no corruption. Maybe that'll be a far stretch, but you know, where we are able to incentivize our young citizens who have went abroad to come back home and contribute to their country, a Bahamas that we all can be proud of.
In tandem with Tevin, I wish to see the same Bahamas. I wish to see a Bahamas with lucrative, multiple industries, you know, where we can tackle all of these issues, solve everything. I know everything won't be solved, but a Bahamas where everything is better. we will see things get better.
It's better in the Bahamas.
It's better in the Bahamas. We will
Break
put
that
truth
down.
to that.
Okay, all right.
You know?
For me, I would like to see progression. And I feel like over the past 44 years of independence, we've lacked progression. And even, it may sound unrealistic, but just a step forward in the right direction would be a better Bahamas for me. I would truly like to see our country moving forward, upward, onward, and together, the words that were printed on our coat of arms. And if we can move one step at a time in the right direction, it will be a better Bahamas for me.
Well, folks, I have to say that with more individuals like yourself who are committed to country, have a vision, love this country, and want to see it do better, hopefully it will be that Bahamas that you are all hoping to see one day and aspire to. And you know, having said that, I want to congratulate you for the strides you've made in your various careers in your lives, and continue, you know, to press forward. The country really is in your hands. The leaders who are in place and who are running this country, their time is dwindling, and it is up to you now to carry us forward. So again, thank you for coming on the show. Good luck to you. You guys have listened. This has been an excellent show for me. I really, not that all my other shows have been good, but I really enjoyed my time. I won't offend nobody. We hope that you have enjoyed our show tonight. Special thanks to Tevin Bannister, Gabrielle McKinsey, LeVar Ferguson, my producer, technical staff, and of course you, our audience, for watching each and every week. Be sure and join us for more On the Record, same time, same place next week. Once again, I'm Jerome Sawyer, your host. Good night, everyone.